Hello, my name's John Wadsworth and this is my video blog for Monday the 20th of June 2011. Tomorrow is the summer solstice, of course, 21st of June, the longest day of the year, the shortest night. The point in the year when the sun reaches its highest in the sky. And it's a time that we might naturally think is associated primarily with the sun, the celebration of the sun. And of course, many of us will be getting up very early tomorrow morning to watch the sun rise and to celebrate the solar energy within us. But it's worth remembering that this is also quite an ambiguous time in the year. The summer solstice is one of those liminal moments in the year. It's a turning point. It is a moment where the sun will no longer rise. The sun is literally standing still at the solstice and is beginning its descent. And in many cultures and traditions, this point in the year marked the descent of the king or the solar figure in the culture. In the Sumerian tradition, there's a festival over this period of time that was known as the Weeping of Tammuz, or the Weeping of Dumuzi, who was the consort of Inanna, because it's the point where he must descend into the underworld. And so this ambiguity is reflected very well in the fact that the sun at the summer solstice enters the sign of Cancer, the zodiac sign of Cancer, the water sign of Cancer, the sign that is ruled by the moon. So here we have the sun entering a phase where the rulership is passed over to the moon. So it's also an alchemical time, a meeting of sun and moon, of solar and lunar principles. The solar energy of light, of growth, of direction, of the spirit, the rise of the spirit, but also of the ego. The sun represents the ego astrologically. Whereas the moon is much more soulful. The moon is rooted in memory. It's the energy of the psyche. It's really it's where we come from. It's our roots. It's our source. It's the source of who we are. And so the solar path, the path of the sun, is in a way compromised now, or has to submit over this period of time to the energy of the moon. Now, I really want to stress in this little film the importance of the moon and the significance of the lunar path, the more soulful path. Particularly because we're in the middle of an eclipse season. We had a very powerful lunar eclipse last week, and we have in about 10 days' time, we have a solar eclipse where the sun and the moon are conjunct on the new moon in the sign of Cancer. And I've already spoken previously about this solar eclipse being very significant because it's the return of the cardinal grand cross. We have the sun and the moon in Cancer, Saturn in Libra, Uranus in Aries, and Pluto in Capricorn, making a perfect grand cross within a few degrees of arc, very, very tight. Not quite as tight as last year's Grand Cross, but nonetheless I think the most powerful chart of the year, the most significant moment of the year in many ways, and very much a liminal moment, very much a millennial moment, a portal. It carries, I think, a quality of the energy of being a portal into a new possibility, a new way of being, but also very challenging, hugely challenging time where I think we're going to be tested in our integrity. Saturn is there testing our integrity, but the moon is also imploring us to remember where we come from, to remember our roots, and to remember the path of the soul. And the path of the soul is very different from the path of spirit, the path of consciousness that the sun represents. The soul path is more the path that we access through our dreaming. It's our nighttime consciousness, which is very different rules apply in a dream than they do in our waking life. And the path of the soul is one that is much more difficult to define. It's not about clarity in the way that the sun is about enlightenment. It's about lighting, bringing light to things, bringing things out into the light of day. The moon is, with the moon we have to submit to something more mysterious, something less clear, something that kind of goes around in our feeling nature. It rumbles around within us, and it's difficult to articulate it, but nonetheless it's so important that it is honoured and respected, and that we connect with it. And so I call this phase of the year, the Cancerian phase of the year, where we reconnect to the source. And our alchemical journey workshop coming up in July is entitled Reconnecting to the Source, and we work with the imagery of the spring, of the well, the deep well of memory, the deep well that comes out of the core of the earth. We have a chalice well here in Glastonbury, of course, and some believe as a primary source, comes from a primary source deep within the earth. And by connecting to the water within us and the experience of water, and imagining if we were a tree, our roots, and how we are nourished and fed through our roots. And our roots also, of course, in terms of our relationship to the ancestors, in terms of our personal history, our karmic history, all of that is very much connected with the moon's path. So yes, this is really what I wanted to share here, is just to remember the moon, to remember where we come from in our quest for self-realization, that quest of the sun, that must always be balanced with the need to be connected deeply to our moon and to our soul and our soul's journey. We have places available on our Alchemical Journey workshop, which is the 2nd and 3rd of July in Glastonbury, and we'll be walking the Glastonbury Zodiac on the Sunday of that weekend. We'll be going into the Cancer figure in the Glastonbury Zodiac. We'll also be visiting a sacred spring in the Zodiac, which is the source of the waterways that draw out the Cancer figure in the Zodiac. You can find details on my website, which is www.thealchemicaljourney.co.uk, and you can also find out more about my astrological work at Kairos Astrology. That's www.kairosastrology.co.uk.